Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about the NHL 2018 Draft Lottery. We're going to be recapping it, what my predictions were, comparing them to the actual final predictions and the final placements in the draft. We're going to be going through every single pick here. Now before we look at the final placements, let's go back through the standings and see the odds for everyone's first overall pick. So Buffalo at first had 18.5%, Ottawa 13.5%, Arizona 11.5%, Montreal 9.5%, Detroit 8.5%, Vancouver 7.5%, Chicago 6.5%, New York Rangers 6%, Edmonton with 5%, New York Islanders with 3.5%, Carolina with 3%, and then Carolina with that, or Calgary, that having New York Islanders pick at 2.5%, Dallas with 2% chance, St. Louis pick going to Philadelphia 1.5% chance, and Florida at 15% with a measly 1%. Now I'll only share my predictions for the top three. Let's just go through them. I had Buffalo at number 3, Vancouver at number 2, and the New York Rangers at number 1. Obviously a little bit different. At least Buffalo was in my top 3, as well as Buffalo winning the draft lottery. Spoilers, but again, I only had one correct pick out of those 3. That ended up being the actual 3. It's okay, but again, it was Buffalo. A lot of people expected them to still be in the top 3. Now the final standings. Florida starting it off at 15, stayed where they were. I expected that, and I predicted that. Florida staying at they are. Still going to get a decent player. Again, this draft is pretty good, but Florida staying at they are at 15. And of course, St. Louis's pick that turned into the Philadelphia Flyers pick from the trade stayed where it was too, at the 14th overall. It's not swaying anymore. It's still staying at 14. So again, no surprise release to start out here. And all stars 13th in the standings go and pick 13th. No surprises yet as they stay where they placed. And then next up with the 12th pick, they stay there with Calgary's pick. So Calgary's pick doesn't turn anything special. Calgary's putting a little bit of pressure off them as they kind of needed that. But at number 11, the Carolina Hurricanes, who were pegged to be there in the standings, of course, them being 11th place, are not picking 11th. The New York Islanders, with their pick, are picking 11th. So they're back-to-back picks. They're 12 and 11 for New York. But that means Carolina headed to the top 3. And again, this was a huge surprise. Them coming up, basically the last season's Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia Flyers last season in the draft lottery, I think they were like 12 something. Then they go up and get 2nd overall. A big jump, and the jump reminds me of that season where the Philadelphia Flyers got a gigantic jump. Next up, the Edmonton Oilers pick 10th, as a lot of people are sighing in relief for them not getting in top 3 pick. I know a lot of people would have been heartbroken if that happened. Edmonton staying at number 10, and thankfully a lot of people would have not liked that. I mean, Edmonton, if they jumped up that far, it would have been a riot, but Edmonton staying at 10, saving a lot of people's butts. At number 9, the New York Rangers pick 9th overall, and there goes my prediction as I picked the New York Rangers, in fact, to win the first overall pick. There goes my prediction for the top 3, and New York I thought was going to get a little bit of a big jump there, but they stay at where they were, 9th overall, which sucks for them because they could have used a big pick, but they're staying at number 9. Then we go to Chicago, and will they jump? Nope. The Chicago Blackhawks stay at where they are, 8th overall, and that's an even bigger sigh of relief for me, as I did not want the Blackhawks to win anything in this draft lottery, and they are 8th overall. They had a chance, they had a decent chance at it, but they did not get it, and I'm liking life right now. As long as the Blackhawks didn't win, I was okay with anything that happened. The Blackhawks didn't win, so I'm a happy person right now. At number 7, the Vancouver Canucks pick 7th overall, and there goes my prediction again, as I predicted them to finally get some luck in the drafts, drafting 7th overall. Now, this was an unlucky for them. They kept it where they were, but Vancouver has never had good luck, and it continues as they draft 7th overall and get another year where they don't jump up. A lot of these years, they have been wishing for that. Some, they've been screwed in the draft lottery, but this year, they couldn't get up there, which sucks because they really needed a franchise defenseman in Dolan. At number 6, no more surprises. The Detroit Red Wings draft 6th overall, and they're going to get a good pick from that, but no jumps from them either, as they stick 6th overall, but kind of jump down a little bit. But again, they're going to get a good player from that. That'll definitely help their franchise. At number 5, you have the Arizona Coyotes, who dropped from 3rd overall to 5th overall. Again, they're still going to get a good player, as Chayka mentioned. They're still going to get a good player from that, and they didn't want to bet on a lottery, which I guess is a good approach. But again, dropping a little bit in the draft from 3rd to 5th, I thought that they could be a surprise team in the lottery. I didn't peg them to be that, but they could happen. But they don't get the luck, unfortunately, this season, as they kind of do need it. But again, they have a good core going in the future, and they definitely can get a good player 5th overall. That could help them in the near future. At number 4, the Ottawa Senators drop from 2nd to 4th, and I like it like that. Melnick doesn't deserve anything, and he doesn't get top 3, so I like it. I like having Ottawa top 4, or at least they're going to get a good player from that for sure, unless they draft a bust, which it's not out of the realm of possibility. They are going to get a great player player from that still. 4th overall is nothing to be ashamed about. I mean, Arizona had to drop 2 points, so Ottawa has to drop 2 as well. And then we have the top 3. Montreal, you got Carolina, and you got Buffalo. Now, we had to wait like an hour or so before we saw this because they wanted to stretch it out for some reason. It's dumb, but we didn't know the top 3. It was bunched up. We didn't know it for a couple of hours, and the suspense was pretty real. But the Sharks and Knights head into second intermission, and the draft lottery resumes as number 3. The suspense is real. Who will it go to? And it goes to the Montreal Canadiens. 3rd overall, they're going to get a great player from that, either Zadania or Svechnikov. They're going to get a great forward from that, and they're definitely happy with that pick going forward. At number 2, at number 1, who will go get Dahlin? Will it be Buffalo? Will it be Carolina? Carolina, if they get Dahlin, will be a franchise maker. Or Buffalo, they really need that 1st overall pick. Who will get it? And the suspense, of course, was at its highest. The 1st overall pick award in the 2018 NHL Draft goes to the Buffalo Sabres. Carolina slotting in number 2, and Buffalo going 1st overall for the first time. I think it said like since 1987, something like that. It's been a long time, at least around 30 years. So they haven't had 1st overall pick for a long time. Remember, Eichel was the 2nd overall choice, and Buffalo's going to get Dahlin basically at this point. If they don't draft Dahlin, they're pretty much an even bigger joke than they already are, but they have Dahlin in their clutches, and they're going to have him. It's like if Oilers it's like if the Oilers didn't take McDavid, that would be the same kind of thing here. But Buffalo has pretty much secured Dahlin in their grasp, and hopefully he changes at least a little bit much for them, because they obviously need a change of scenery and a different team that will help them in the future. And Dahlin will definitely help that team. Over the Carolina Hurricanes, 11th in the draft lottery standings, up to 2nd overall. They'll definitely take that, as they get an amazing forward from this draft if Dahlin gets taken, of course. And Svechnikov is probably the class favorite, the fan favorite to go 2nd overall. So again, Svechnikov, you got Rask, you got Skinner, you got Teravainen. They got a great forward group going forward. They got a great defensive group going forward. It's all about that goaltending going forward. But again, they have a great team, and it's going to be amazing going for the future, what that youth will become and what they'll be able to do with it. Carolina has an amazing future, and it's solidified with the 2nd pick. Man, again, it reminds me of the Flyers last season. They're already looking good. They had a bit of a goaltending problem, but their defense was young. Their forward group was great. It's just the future is bright for them. And if they're the same repeats, the Carolina Hurricanes would make the playoffs next season. I just think the similarities between Carolina and Philadelphia are pretty high. I mean, they don't have a heart contender in Giroux, but their forward group is great going forward. Their defense, of course, is young and great going forward. It's the goalies that are a problem, and that kind of structure is exactly what I think the Philadelphia Flyers are like. And the Hurricanes, I wouldn't say they'd like to have that goaltending problems, but the rest of it is looking very good for the future. Back to 3rd overall with Montreal, that forward, if they get Zadania, will super help them in the future. I mean, that forward, Zadania is looking fantastic, and if he's probably going to be a first-line player for them if he gets drafted. I'd say that he's NHL ready. I'd say that he's ready to go, and Montreal having him would be very, very helpful, and he will be. I think that they have great options here, and they can't really go wrong with Zadania or Svechnikov, whatever they get gifted, but I think that Montreal, if it's Zadania, will have a massive jump. Not a playoff hockey, but they'll definitely have a great forward going forward that they hopefully don't trade for nothing. But honestly, I'm happy with this draft lottery. I'm happy with the top 3, and I know a lot of people that are happy that Edmonton, for 1, didn't draft up, and 2, Chicago didn't draft up. And that's pretty much what I'm at right now. I'm like, Chicago not drafting in the top 3, I'm happy with whatever that happens. I mean, whenever the draft lottery can not be good to the Blackhawks, I'm good with it. I'm very, very good right now. It's about the time the Buffalo Sabres drafted 1st overall, and they finally get that for the first time in a long time, and they'll definitely make great use of Dahlin, and Dahlin will make a great use of Buffalo. I think the fit is good there. I think that Buffalo is going to improve massively. Even just with Dahlin, I think that Dahlin-Ristolainen, that pair is going to be filthy throughout next season. But it's looking like a pretty stacked draft class, and no matter if your team lost lottery, and no matter if you just place where you're placing normally, it's still going to be a great draft. And even if you're in the top 10, even if you're in the top 15, you'll still likely get a great player. Don't see too many buzz coming from this, foreshadowing for sure, but this is looking like a fantastic draft. And even if you aren't winning the lottery, even if you are in the top 3, you have lots looking forward to, especially with the guy that you draft. It's looking fantastic. But that's going to, guys. Like and subscribe to not ring that bell if you haven't. Tell me down below what your team placed and what your expectation is for who they'll pick, what your expectation was going into the draft lottery, and if you're okay with where they placed. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.